Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this Monday special webinar series on TPO. This will be a fortnightly series happening every Monday focused on CENTA International Teaching Professionals Olympiad, popularly known as TPO. Today is the third webinar of the series on decoding CENTA International Teaching Professionals Olympiad for the subject mathematics. I'm Nikhil. I'm currently working as a subject in charge for both math and chemistry at CENTA, and I will be your facilitator today. Along with me, I have Shreyas, who's the manager for assessments at CENTA. He's also a past TPO winner, and he will be co-facilitating the webinar with me today. So, would love to see a few comments in the chat box where you introduce yourself with your name, school, and your location from where you have joined. So would happy to I would be happy to see a few comments in the chat box, and shares you could help me reading the comments from the chat box.
Nikhil, we are yet to receive any comments, so perhaps you could go ahead while teachers are joining in.
Okay, so we would encourage all teachers who have joined to enter your name, the name of your school, and your location.
Yeah. So we have teachers from the Philippines. We have from teacher from Meghalaya, from Pune,
Okay, great. Great to see teachers from other countries.
Delhi, Kerala. Wide range of teachers here. Yes.
We'll wait for another 2 minutes for other teachers who have joined to enter all the details.
A lot of teachers from Jaipur and Hyderabad as well.
Amazing.
We also have a teacher who's a Vedic maths trainer, and he's been teaching for a long time. He's from Kerala.
Oh, wow, that's great.
A couple of teachers from Ahmedabad.
Okay. So we have a lot of teachers joining us from different parts of India and some teachers from outside India. Good to see that. So let's get started with the webinar for today. So, as you might know, as many of you might know, the first edition of Center TPO started in 2015, and we are proud to say that we are currently in our eighth year with the eighth edition of Center International TPO. And the reason why we started TPO was because we fundamentally felt the need to create an opportunity to reward, recognize, and provide career and growth opportunity for teachers. So that's the whole reason why we started CENTA TPO. And but the thing is that when you look at career growth opportunities, it takes a longer period of time for teachers to have that. So we wanted to create something that is immediate, which would recognize teachers and give rewards to teachers immediately. And that's how we came up with the idea of CENTA International TPO. And it is an annual competition where teachers can get together in a large scale and showcase their competencies with respect to subject expertise and pedagogical skills, etc., and get rewarded immediately for the same. So we've been very fortunate over the years to have a lot of teachers, and especially also like our partners, Reliance Foundation, who's presenting CENTA TPO this year in association with Education World and with additional partners like Oxford University Press and the University of Buckingham. And this is a great opportunity for all teachers. So we would encourage all teachers to take up CENTA International TPO. Now, moving on to the next part. So, in today's webinar, we're going to cover an overview of what CENTA International TPO is, details of prelims, the format, the mark scheme, the competencies covered in the exam, etc. And we will also be discussing a few sample questions from the mathematics tracks, the various mathematic tracks for CENTA TPO. Also, along with that, we have a part of the session where we will be focusing on how to prepare for CENTA International TPO, especially for the mathematic tracks. So this is what we're going to cover for today's webinar. Now, talking about CENTA TPO, we started in 2015 in 7 cities. Now, in 2019, we have reached to 75 cities in 2 different countries, which is India and UAE. And it has fully gone online and international in 2022. So, this is how we have grown over the years in terms of CENTA TPO. And in 2015, we started with 9 subject tracks, and now in 2022, we have 34 subject tracks spanning across primary, middle, secondary, and senior secondary tracks. And we also have a track for early childhood education. And we have also introduced a few new tracks this year, which are primary school EVS. Then we have Hindi language tracks for primary school, etc. And we have some co-curricular tracks which we've introduced this year. So it's going to be very exciting to see teachers taking up these tracks this year. So in 2015 to 2020, we were adopting a format of multiple choice questions only to test teachers for CENTA TPO. But then we realized that we had to test teachers in a very holistic manner. So that's when in 2021 we introduced a video component to our tests so that our assessments are holistic in nature. And in 2022 also, when you're attempting CENTA TPO, you will have to attempt a video component as well. We will be talking about the video component in detail in the coming slides. Now, coming to the subject tracks that we are offering in mathematics this year. So we have primary, middle, secondary, and senior secondary school math. So these are the 4 mathematics tracks that we are offering for CENTA TPO this year. And to summarize what I've just told, so CENTA TPO is fully online. You can take this at the comfort of your home. And it is a two-stage process where you have a prelims up to 31st of December, and the toppers will be invited to the finals. And it is an international test. Teachers from all over the world are taking up this test. And it's a 2-hour test with the prelims with 50 MCQs and 2 short videos. So this is about the CENTA TPO test. I know you will have a lot of questions at this point. You can continue to populate the chat box with your questions. We will be answering those towards the end. We will try to have a Q&A session towards the end. If there are any questions that we can answer at this point with respect to CENTA TPO, we can answer 1 or 2 questions at this point. Uh, Shreyas, can we answer a few questions right now in the chat box if there are any?
Nikhil, at this time, no specific questions in the chat box.
Okay, so let's move on. So talking about the partners, so let's move on to the partners. So CENTA International TPO 2022 has a lot of different partners. So our partners are so far Reliance Foundation, which is presenting CENTA TPO 2022 in association with Educational World. So these are our primary partners. So we have some additional partners like Oxford University Press and the University of Buckingham, and all the partners are bringing so many interesting prizes and various opportunities for teachers, which we'll be discussing in the coming slides. And some of the other partners that we have are Bharati Foundation, Think Startup, Central Square Foundation, Teach for India Online, Michael and Susan Dell Foundation, Lenovo, Key Education Foundation, Pearson, T4, The Hindu, Berkey Foundation, and HCL. So these are some of our partners over these years, and many of our teachers have benefited a lot from our partners. And some of the prizes and benefits that we offer to our teachers are these. And we have a lot of different exciting prizes for teachers. So Reliance Foundation will be like offering cash awards worth Indian rupees 30 lakhs to teachers. And a note here is that these cash awards will be applicable to Indian candidates. So that is one note here. And we will be like partnering with Education World, who will be providing media recognition to winning teachers in schools. So when we're talking about schools, schools with the maximum number of TPO winners will be featured. And we are partnering with Oxford University Press. So Oxford University Press will be offering a lot of premium training opportunities, where they'll be getting a lot of training opportunities at a discounted price, etc. And we also have a lot of certificates provided to teachers in terms of teaching excellence from the University of Buckingham. And we have a lot of uh, prizes given to teachers, and digital badges and certificates are provided to teachers. And for the TPO winners, we have a lot of discounts for a lot of certifications that we provide from CENTA. And the speciality of CENTA TPO is that you have a fully confidential personal scorecard. So unless you register as an institution, like if you're registering as a school, then it will not be confidential because your school will also be able to see your scorecard. But if you're registering as an individual, then your scorecard will be fully confidential, and no one will be able to see it unless you share it with them. And it's fully online, so you can take it from the comfort of your home. So these are some of the prizes and benefits that we offer. Now, to summarize what I just said, so CENTA TPO is to reward, recognize, and celebrate teachers. So we have this TPO designed to immediately reward teachers, and we have a lot of different prizes for teachers. So this is how we are trying to like reward teachers. And recognition, like I mentioned before, we have some partners who will feature some of the winning teachers in their magazine, etc. So that way they're also getting recognized. And we're very thankful that a large number of partners, be it corporate, government, or legends like Brian Lar or Harvard professor Fernando Reimers, who've been supporting this initiative over the years. So also for teachers like you, like many of you who have attempted TPO for the past many years, and who've been like encouraging this initiative a lot. So it's a celebration for teachers. It's a celebration in the sense that we come together, we give the exam, and go back with a lot of learnings for us. And coincidentally, Shreyas, who will be taking over now, is an inspiring example because he was also a past TPO winner, and he's currently working with us. And I would like to introduce Shreyas now. And Shreyas, if you can share some of your experiences writing the TPO exam and how it has impacted your career, if you could share that, that'll be great. Over to you, Shreyas.
Thanks, Nikhil. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. Great. So, welcome to all the teachers today. Great to see so many of you all here. I was part of the first ever Teaching Professionals Olympiad in 2015, and I gave the high school mathematics track. I was teaching at that time in Pune, and a number of teachers in my school and I we gave the test. And at that time, the test was not in Pune. We had to go down in Bombay. So we went as a school together and we gave the test. And it was a really nice experience. And I think I decided to write it because I wanted to see where I stood as a teacher, right? I had been teaching for 2 to 3 years by that time. I wanted to understand what were my strengths, where could I improve, right? And I didn't do any specific preparation. Math was a subject I really loved, and I taught it in my school as well. So it was something I just felt like giving. And I think one of the best ways the TPO impacted me was getting a chance to be a contributing author to a book that CENTA brought out in, I think, 2017 or 18, wherein I wrote a chapter on instructional practices. And it was a great experience to be able to reflect on my teaching experiences and contribute a chapter like that, right? So I very grateful for that opportunity, and that through writing the TPO, I got to know about CENTA, their work. I got to know about Ramya, who's the CEO, and that's how I also am working at CENTA to this day. So I would recommend CENTA TPO to anyone who's interested in knowing where they stand as a teacher, what are their strengths, and what are the areas in which they could improve. It was a really brilliant and thoughtfully designed assessment. So now what I'd like to cover is the TPO prelim format, right? And just we'll walk you through the different parts that there are to it. So like Nikhil mentioned earlier in the webinar, there are two components. We have a multiple choice question component, and over the last couple of years, we also have a video component. So the multiple choice question component is 50 questions. These are all single correct MCQ. There is no negative marking. It's for 75 marks. And the video assessment has two questions. One question is for 15 marks, one is for 10 marks, and a total of 25 marks. So when it comes to the multiple choice questions, they're broken up into broadly three categories. The first is subject expertise. So if you're registering for a specific subject track, let's say high school math, you'll be tested on certain subject knowledge that pertains to high school math, and there will be about 20 questions for that for 30 marks. Then we will be giving you questions on your pedagogical content knowledge and also general teaching practices as well. So some questions will be focused on the pedagogy of mathematics, so to speak, and some questions will be focused on teaching in general, not subject specific. And here also there will be 20 questions for 30 marks. And finally, we would have 10 questions that would gauge your professional competencies and communication skills, the skills and competencies needed for you to function as an excellent teacher in your school. We would assess that as well. And these questions would be subject independent. They would just be more focused on how you are as a teacher. And that would give you your total 75 marks for your multiple choice question test. Moving on to the video assessment, there are two videos. One is a subject specific verbal evaluation. So here you would join a video call with a representative from CENTA. They would give you a video, they would give you a prompt, they would tell you the prompt, they would paste the prompt in the chat box, and it would be specific to your subject. It could be on remediating a misconception, it could be on introducing a new topic in your classroom. There are a variety of things that one could ask you. We'll give you some time to prepare, and then you'll give you some time to present, right? And that would carry 15 marks. And in the second video, we will give you subject agnostic verbal evaluations. So here it is more general prompts for, say, something on, for example, classroom management. We might give you a prompt or a situation in which we are seeing how you would handle a situation in your classroom and how you might respond to the students, or if something is going out of hand, for example. And that would be one question. Again, we'll give you time to prepare, and that will be for 10 marks. So if you look at the format as a whole, we are trying to holistically evaluate your strengths and areas of improvement as a teacher, right? And I think the TPO's hallmark is it's not a competitive assessment, so to speak. We would love teachers to be able to use the report card and the insights from the assessment to improve their practice and become better teachers in the classroom. And that's why we are testing the teachers on so many different parameters here. So this is just a further breakdown of what I said. We have the multiple choice question, 50 questions, 20, 20, and 10, what I showed you on the previous slide. And down there, you can see how the platform might look. You'll have different sections. You can choose your answers. You can click on the radio button. You have a timer up there. The interface is a simple, clean interface for you to take your assessment and submit your answers. So this is one example of how that would look. And your video verbal evaluation would take place through a Zoom call, right? And you would join a meeting room, then you would be sent to a particular breakout room, and then you will have a center representative taking your assessment on the a video like this, and we will evaluate your video responses using a thoughtfully designed rubric from our end to be fair to all the candidates, because there is an element of subjectivity here, and we want to be as objective as possible to give you all a fair experience as candidates. So now, as Nikhil mentioned, one of the main chunks of this webinar is to walk you all through some sample CENTA TPO questions from the past, right? So we believe that this is the meat of the webinar where we can go into the kinds of questions that we put on our TPO and hear from you all as well, right? So I would like it if you all could move on to the Nikhil, could you go to the next slide? Yeah. Can you go to menti.com in your respective browsers and enter the passcode that you see on the screen there. When you do that, you should see a question. And if you have done it correctly, your question would start with in a class of 60 students. So, as you can see. So, take some time, carefully read this question. It's a subject expertise question. It's on fractions, something which uh, nearly, I think, every single mathematics teacher would be thoroughly experienced with and would have taught students. And go ahead and answer this question. On the board, you can also see the options and the number of teachers who voted for different options. So we'll give you some time now to try out this question. We've received 3 responses so far. Hoping to hear from more teachers. Okay, 4 responses. Nikhil, could you hover on the question? It's not, I think, fully visible.
Is it visible right
Yeah,
now?
now it is. Yeah, yeah, now it is. You're right. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
Oh,
Would request teachers to answer the question on menti.com, not just paste it as comments. Fine if you paste it as a comment, but please answer it on the platform as well, because we are documenting the responses there. And the link and the passcode are mentioned in the comments in the chat box and also on your screen. Gotten 6 responses so far. Got 11 responses. So I'll read out the question as some of y'all are saying you may not be able to fully see it. So I'll read it out slowly. In a class of 60 students, one third are girls, one fifth of the girls have green eyes, while the others have brown eyes. Of the girls having brown eyes, half of them have black hair. Of the girls having green eyes, one fourth of them have brown hair, while the remaining have black hair. The final question being asked is how many girls have brown hair? Give a minute more and then we'll see the kind of responses we have. I request teachers to answer the question on menti.com. It's fine if you paste your comments, but please do answer your question on menti.com too. Okay, Nikhil, I think we can uh, you know, go to the.
Okay.
So this was the question. Just you can this is the question that I read out, and the situation has been outlined to you. And the final question was how many girls have brown hair. So from the poll, it looked like a majority of the teachers had chosen option B, which was 16. So let's try to understand what the answer here was and what does it reveal about the different responses. So the correct answer was 9, which was option B, right? Because you have 60 students, one third are girls, you have 20 girls, and then you have to work with the 20 girls, one fifth of them with green eyes, others with brown eyes, partition that, and then find a fraction of a fraction. So that's what's been worked out there, as you see, and you have to add the two different situations to get 9 girls, right? So this was the correct answer. Now, the options which are incorrect have been designed for reasons. So, if a teacher has answered option A, it is possible that the teacher has considered the girls with green eyes and brown hair only, right? So, that is one part of the problem. It's not the complete solution. If a teacher has chosen 16, which many of the teachers have, you'll have considered girls with brown eyes, right? You have not considered the questions asking about brown hair and not brown eyes. And finally, for teachers who've chosen 8, you've taken the girls with brown eyes and brown hair, right? So you also have got a part of the solution, like teachers who chose option A, but the complete solution is a combination of option A and option C, wherein you have green eyes or brown eyes, that doesn't matter, but you have brown hair. So this is how you arrive at 9 as the answer. So let's try another question. Now, this previous question was on subject expertise. This question is also going to be on subject expertise, but we are going to move to the topic of volume. So again, please go to menti.com and the password is the same. That is changed. Nikhil, you can go ahead. So here's the question for you. Please be careful to read the full question, right? So a part of the question will appear to you in a bigger font size and then part in smaller. So read the question in its entirety. For the teachers who might be finding it difficult to read it, I will read out the question slowly once and the options as well. Imagine that the builders of the pyramid had made a mistake wherein they built it such that the pyramid was slanted to one side, but all other dimensions remained the same. What would then have been the volume of stones used in this skewed pyramid? And your options are greater than that in the original pyramid, less than that in the original pyramid, same as the original pyramid, or possible to say only if the angle of slant is known. So these are the four options that you have. And like we did for the previous question, would love for teachers to answer the question on menti.com. Let's try to get a high number of responses so we have a good sample to work with. We have 7 responses as of this point. In case you are finding the options a bit small, I will again read out the options. Option A is greater than that in the original pyramid. Option B is less than that in the original pyramid. Option C is same as the original pyramid. And option D is possible to say only if the angle of slant is known. So far, we have received 12 responses. Love to hear from more teachers. Request you to maximize your phone, your laptop, your system, your screen so that you can see it clearly. And I am trying to help by also reading it out to you. It'll take about 30 seconds more since there is no calculations involved, so to speak, here. It's a conceptual item. So far, we have 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 12, and 1. Yeah, 2, 3, 12, and 1 is the distribution. So, Nikhil, we can, I think, return to the slide deck. We've got 18 responses. So, yeah, let's see what the correct answer was in this case. Excellent. So most of the teachers who attempted the question got this right. Right. It's same as the original pyramid. The volume of the stones does not change even if the pyramid is slanted. So the net volume of the pyramid will remain the same. So now, if a teacher is answering some of the other options, what does that reveal? Right. So even if you slant the pyramid, the bottom line is that the height does not change even if the pyramid is slanted, right? So the volume is not negatively impacted, right? Similarly, for option B, if someone thinks it's less, again, there is no increase in the height when the pyramid is slanted, right? So that's why neither A nor B is correct. And finally, for option D, the volume of the pyramid, there is no relation between the volume of the pyramid and the angle of slant, right? So that's why in this case, the correct answer is same as the original pyramid. So good job. Most of you all understood and got this right. All right. Let's move on to the third question. So now we've done two questions on subject expertise, which was testing your core subject knowledge. Now we are going to give you a question on your subject pedagogical content knowledge, right? So how might you teach a particular concept in the class to your students, right? So the question's coming on the screen. And here I will read out the options because it does look a little small. Please take some time and read the question first. So the options are, the first option is prove that the distance between 2 points a comma b and c comma d will be the square root of a minus c whole square plus b minus d whole square. That is the option A. Option B, what will be the distance between the points 5 comma 4 and 6 comma 9? Option C, what will be the change in distance formula when one of the points corresponds to origin? And option D, find the value of k such that the distance between 2 points 3 comma k and 6 comma 4 will be 3 root 2 units. So these are the four options. And Mr. Arshad's goal is for his students to acquire inductive reasoning while learning the distance formula. Request you to please answer the question on menti.com if possible. We'll give teachers a minute more in the interest of time. Great, we've got 11 responses so far. Let's give 30 seconds more. I've read out the question to y'all already. Mr. Arshad wants his students to acquire inductive reasoning while learning the concept of distance formula. Which of the following problems is most aligned to this skill, right? And for your benefit, if you're not able to see the options clearly, I will again read out the options quickly. Option A is prove that the distance between 2 points a comma b and c comma d will be the square root of a minus c whole square plus b minus d whole square. Option B is what will be the distance between the points 5 comma 4 and 6 comma 9. Option C will be what will be the change in distance formula when one of the points corresponds to origin. And option D, find the value of k such that the distance between 2 points 3 comma k and 6 comma 4 will be 3 root 2 units. We've gotten 14 responses. I think, Nikhil, we can go back to the slide deck. So let's see what the correct answer here is. So in this case, the correct answer is option A. Not a lot of teachers had opted for that, right? So inductive reasoning is when one goes from specifics or tangible examples to a general rule. So option A does that really well because you might want to start children off with a simple set of two actual points on a graph measuring the distance and then helping them derive a general formula from that. So option A does that well. Now, if you look at the second option, option B, this is great for developing deductive reasoning, wherein you're doing the reverse. You're taking a general rule and then you're going to specifics. So this would be suitable for testing if children can apply the formula after learning it, right? So it's not for inductive, it's for deductive reasoning. The next one would be a great question for teaching cause and effect, because now you are telling the children, okay, one of the points becomes the origin, what exactly happens, what is the impact of that on the formula. And finally, even the last one, similar to option B, is great for deductive reasoning, because they're going to take a formula that they know and then they're going to apply it to solve for K. So these, I hope this gives you some aspect or some flavor of the kind of questions that come in. Nikhil will also share a couple of examples from his end at this point. And over to you, Nikhil.
Thank you, Shreyas. So I would request all teachers to go back to menti.com and enter the same passcode. You will be able to see the next question. So this is your next question. So I will read out the question. So the six-digit password to log into a laptop is best suited to introduce the idea of A. Permutation and combination, B. Combination only, C. Permutation only, and D. Probability only. So this will be a senior secondary question because we are talking about ideas like permutation and combination. So would love to see responses from all teachers. Okay, I can see a lot of teachers choosing option A, which is permutation and combination. A few responses like combination on only and probability only. Okay, so it's a mix of all A, B, C, and D, with A leading right now. We will wait for another 2 minutes for all teachers to send their responses to Menti. Okay, a lot of teachers have chosen option A.
Nikhil will give teachers a minute more, I think, in the
Sure.
interest of time. We've already received a good number of responses, 18. And yeah, we seem to have a clear majority going right.
Okay, we have 20 responses. Would love to have 25 responses before we discuss the answers. So would request more teachers to answer the question. Okay, we have 21.
Please answer it on menti.com. It's great that you're putting it in the comment section, but also answer it on Menti.
Okay, we have 22 responses. 24 responses now. Waiting for one more response.
Nikhil, let's go ahead. We're stuck at
Okay,
24.
so we have 24, which is the highest so far, I guess. So let's move on to the question and discuss the right answer. So this is the question. So the six-digit password to log into a laptop is best suited to introduce the idea of. The correct answer is permutation only, because when we have a six-digit password, the order of numbers is really important. So that way, it is best suited to introduce the idea of permutation only, where the order is very, very important. When it comes to other options, so in option A, it is not suitable for combination because the order is not relevant over there. It's just a combination of different entities. Combination only is not correct because irrelevance of order cannot be taught here. And probability is not the right answer because there are so many other examples which are best suited to introduce the idea of probability. and a 6 digit password is probably not the best tool that you can use in your classroom to introduce this. So, this is about question 4. Now, moving on to the next question. Again, would request all the teachers to go back to Menti and wait for your next question. It's the same passcode. So, this is the final question. So, I will read out the question. Mr. Benoy wants to introduce the concept of slope of a line in his class. Which of the following questions will be the best hook relevant for this purpose? So, the options are: option A, is it easier to walk on a straight road or climb up a mountain? Option B, what do you mean by slope? Option C, how will you measure the slope of a surface? And option D is, what are some of the things that one must consider while creating a wheelchair ramp? So these are the four options that you have, and you will have to pick the best hook in terms of a question relevant for this purpose. Again, we have a mix of different options with a lot of teachers choosing option A. Would love to see more responses from teachers.
Great. We're already at 12 responses, 13 now.
Yes. And the majority of teachers have chosen option A. And in
Option D is
second,
also catching up a little now.
yeah. So we have 6 responses for option D. We have 9 for option A. Would love to see more responses from teachers.
Take about 30 seconds more. We're already at 20, which is great.
Okay, so we have 22 responses. So let's go back to the question and see what's the right answer. So this was the question, and the correct answer for this is option A. So when we talk about a hook relevant for an objective, learning objective, a hook is something that grabs the attention of your students and is relevant to your learning objective. So that way, we're introducing the idea of slope by asking students, is it easier to walk on a straight road or climb up a mountain? So climbing up a mountain will be difficult because you're climbing uphill, which has a slope, and straight road, which does not have a slope, will be easier to walk on. So that way, students will also be interested to know about the concept of slope in class, and that way you have their attention as well. When it comes to other options which are the wrong answers, option B is ideally something that should be asked after introducing the idea of slope or the concept of slope. And option C, again, is something that you should ask a student or ask your class after introducing the concept of slope. When it comes to option D, it is a very close choice, but students may think that when you are thinking about creating a wheelchair ramp, of course, the slope is involved, but they might run into things like the amount of material used to build a ramp and other things like that, which not be the best thing to discuss in the class right now. So it might not be the best hook for introducing the concept of slope in the classroom. So this is the explanation for the wrong answers. Now we've completed all the sample questions for discussion. Now we will be moving on to discussing some of the questions for the videos assessment. So, like we mentioned before, so Shreyas has talked about the video assessment in detail. So, right now I'm going to discuss a sample question. So, this is a subject-specific verbal evaluation sample question, where you have a question where you are given a choice of taking one of these and introducing that in your classroom. So, you will get some amount of time to prepare for introducing that in a classroom. So you don't have to actually teach a class. You will have to enter a Zoom meeting, and you will assume that you're in a classroom and teaching that to your students. So you will have to take one of these, prepare for some time, and then introduce that as if you're in a classroom. So this is what a verbal evaluation prompt would look like if you take the CENTA TPO test. And now the very important part of how to prepare for CENTA International TPO. So we've discussed about what CENTA International TPO is, what are some of the sample questions. So the natural next question would be how to prepare for it. So we have something uh, made ready for all the teachers, which is our CENTA TPO resources page. And it is a one-stop shop for everything you need to prepare for CENTA International TPO. So you will have all the syllabus documents for various subjects. You will have sample questions for various subjects. You have live webinars coming up. So you'll have information about live webinars coming up. You'll have recorded webinars and other free learning resources. And we have something called the Curious Corner, where there are bite-sized resources that you can access to aid you in preparing for CENTA International TPO. So let me quickly show you the web page where you can access these resources. So this is what the CENTA TPO resource page would look like. So you have information about the upcoming webinars over here. So we have a school leader stack. We have a English stack webinar coming up soon. So this is about the upcoming webinars, and we have the syllabus document over here along with some sample questions for different tracks. And we have the Curious Corner where you'll find some things like CENTA standards, also some other bite-sized resources for preparing for CENTA TPO. And we have a section for focused preparation for CENTA TPO where you will have instructions to follow for the test, and you'll have a demo for how to attempt the test, etc. And we have a few testimonials at the end of the page. So this is what the CENTA TPO resource page would look like. So now that you have seen the CENTA TPO resource page, we would like you to suggest a few more things that you would like to see in the CENTA TPO resources page. So please go to this chat section and please type out what would you want to see on the CENTA TPO resources page. Anything that is missing right now or anything that could be enhanced. So anything that you feel like should be a part of CENTA TPO resources page, please put that in the chat box. We will be taking a note of these, and we will try to implement this as much as possible. So we'll take another 2-3 minutes for all the teachers to put this in the chat box.
So just skim through the page, see what's already there, and if something strikes you as missing that you feel would help you in preparing for the TPO, please do write it as a comment here, and we would definitely note it down and see what can be done about it.
Shreyas, are there any suggestions on the chat box yet?
No suggestions on the chat box yet, Nikhil. Monitoring that.
Okay.
In parallel, in case you don't have any explicit suggestions at this time, on the comment section, we have pasted the feedback form link. We would request you to copy that link into your browser and share feedback on this webinar. Any suggestions on the TPO resources page? We would love to hear from you all.
So we'll wait for another 30 seconds and then move on to the next part.
Again, a reminder to please fill the survey form that we have pasted in the comment section. The link is in the comment section.
Shreyas, I think we can move on to the next part. So, so let's now discuss about how to register for CENTA International TPO 2022. So you can go to this particular link and click on register now and fill the TPO registration form, and then you'll have to submit and pay for uh, your test. So whatever subject type that you've chosen, you can pay for that. So for Indian candidates, the fee will be Indian rupees 990 plus GST, and for international candidates, it'll be US dollar 15. So I will also show you the registration page. So this is what the registration page would look like. So you just simply have to click on register now, and that will redirect you to the registration page where you'll have to register your details and pay the amount for the test. So this is what it'll look like. So with this, we have come to an end. So thanking all the teachers who have joined the session and have waited patiently towards the end of the session. So would like to have questions from you if you have any in the chat box, and we are open to discussing a few questions from there. So teachers, if you have any questions regarding Center International TPO or about mathematics tracks in general, please type your questions in the chat box.
We'll be online for the next 2 to 3 minutes. Would love to hear from y'all if you have any questions for us. Thanks, Professor Manavalan. Really glad that you liked the presentation.
So I hope there are no questions for me or Shreyas. So
So
once
just
again,
one, yeah, Nikhil, 1 second. So, Fani ma'am, we will be posting these over the coming weeks. Right now, if it's not available, we plan to post it for senior secondary math in the coming weeks. Yeah, sorry, Nikhil, no other questions.
Okay. So in case if we don't have any other questions, once again thanking all the teachers who have joined us. Looking forward to having you all in the coming sessions as well. So thank you all for joining.
Thank you.